Hello from ABA Tech Show 2017 in Chicago, Illinois. I am Christopher Anderson.
I'm Ivan Hemmans.
And I'm David Sparks.
And we're on the road with Legal Talk Network. Well, thank you so much for joining us on the road. It's a pleasure to be here today. And today we're talking about the talk topic that you both had today here at ABA Tech Show. You called it Put Your Pedal to the Metal and Learn the Get Things Done or Getting Things Done methodology. First of all, just if you don't mind, Ivan, what is the Getting Things Done methodology?
The Getting Things Done methodology is a framework that one can use to keep track of the many things that all of us have to do each and every day. It was created by David Allen, and he's written a couple of books on the topic. And during our session, we help folks who have never heard about the Getting Things Done methodology get a basic understanding of what's involved and how they might be able to use it to improve their own productivity in their life and in their work.
Great. And Ivan, what do you do when you're not at Tech Show?
Well, I enjoy long walks on the beach, but when I'm not walking on the beach, most of the time I find myself at a global law firm. I work at O'Melveny & Myers, where I've been for the last 18 years, and their senior IT management ranks, helping to explain how technology works and how people at the firm can better use it to get things done.
Fantastic. And David, why don't you first introduce yourself? What do you do when you're out here at Tech Show?
Yeah, I'm a business attorney from Southern California, and I'm a nerd.
Okay, cool. And how did you get involved in having this talk about the Getting Things Done methodology?
I've been using Getting Things Done. I think for lawyers, it's super important to have a good task system. I mean, at risk of malpractice. So it's something lawyers need to be very aware of. I adopted this in my own practice many years ago, so I was happy to kind of share some of my workflows and my thoughts about it with some of the other folks here at ABA Tech Show.
Cool. And one of my understandings is, as you did the talk, you explained, I imagine, what Getting Things Done methodology is, right? Yes. And how it actually works. But did you talk to the lawyers that were in the audience about how to implement it? What did you tell them?
We broke it down. I mean, it's not trivial to get into a system that really works. So we try to explain that you need a task system that has multiple vectors where you can plan your day around not only the priorities in your life, but the projects that may be important or the vectors that may be important. Like if your internet goes down and you just have your phone, what work can you get done? Mm-hmm. So we talked about that and building a structure then that you can bring into your own legal practice to be more on top of things.
Yeah, in addition to covering the fundamentals of how the program works, we also mentioned several ways that you might be able to attack implementing GTD in your own life, including just on paper with paper pad and sort of the basic implements that we find ourselves that don't require any kind of recharging, or completely digital. And we mentioned a few different applications that are out there, but I think the core message that I deliver to anyone is that it doesn't matter what collection of tools you use to accomplish it, having a firm grasp of the concepts are going to allow you to be successful regardless of where you find yourself.
Right, and one of the things that's interesting, right, is that you come at this from a larger organization perspective. And David, you come at it from your organization's smaller.
Yeah.
And you find this methodology useful in both. Is there something that is different about the way you use it in larger organizations versus small, or is it more personal?
My approach is more personal. I mean, we definitely don't have kind of a mandated approach for attacking your work. And for me, I found this was a system that I needed in order to keep up with the many demands on my time. So for me, it was a no-brainer.
Yeah, I feel like Getting Things Done is a system that applies on a individual basis. So whether you're in a small firm or a big firm or a big company, you can make it work for you.
We've got these listeners here on this show. What are some tips like that you can give them to get started? How do they get started with getting things done? What's the first thing they should do?
One of the big steps in getting things done is capturing all that stuff you've got floating around in your brain. As lawyers, we're very good at analysis and reading and planning, but we're not very good as data storage modules. Mm-hmm. We shouldn't be trying to remember when the statute of limitations is on our cases in our head. We need to have that written down. Or when pleading deadlines are done, or even just an idea about maybe filing a motion on a case. So the starting point we recommend is get all that stuff out of your head, 100%. Get it on paper and allow you to use your brain for what it's really good at.
And what about, do you have any other tips for getting started with getting things done, actually with the actual methodology of it?
Yeah, so the very next step after you've captured all of those things and you know what it is that has your attention, clarifying what you need to do about those things, and even going so far as to rewrite whatever it is you've captured as an action statement that you're giving to someone else, so that you, the smart person that you are, you're not explaining it to yourself now. For example, if I were to capture something like paint, that's kind of ambiguous. I might know what I mean today, but a week
Right.
from now I may not remember what that was supposed to be. So if I pretend that I'm handing it to someone else, paint is not enough information for them to be able to do anything with that. So I might say, go to the store and buy paint for the garage. Then that would be enough information for that person I hand it to be able to get it done. And if you do a little bit of clarifying on everything that you've captured, you won't have an ambiguous list of stuff that you'll have to think through again. You'll have done the thinking up front, and,
Right.
and when it's time to get the stuff done, you'll be able to just go do it without having to do any more analysis.
I can certainly feel that pain. I've definitely looked at a checklist going, like, what did I have in mind? What was this about? Go to the store. What store? Yeah, so I know what you're talking about.
During the session, we talked about the difference between present you and future you. Future you doesn't always know what present you was thinking when he wrote down a phone number on a piece of paper with nothing else on it. So you need to be thinking that through.
I learned that at like 9 years old when my parents started asking that very question. What were you thinking? Like, I don't know. So that sounds like great tips on how to get started. What would you describe as some of the key benefits? Like, what should someone expect if they take the trouble to get involved with getting things done? I mean, it seems obvious they'll get things done, but what really are some of the key benefits of this methodology?
I think it gets a lot of worry off of your mind because you have it in a trusted system, and once you understand how it works, you feel a lot more comfortable because you know where everything is. And the other benefit I get from it is agility. A lot of times I'll have a client call me with an emergency that I had no idea existed when I woke up that morning, and because I've got a system, I know what I was planning to do today, what can get pushed back to deal with the emergency. It just gives you the ability to be flexible.
Yeah, I second that. I'd say that you can move forward in confidence knowing exactly what it is you're doing and knowing exactly what it is you're not doing, and you can be okay with not doing things that don't need to be done right now.
Yeah, it also sounds to me like this is, in a sense, because you were talking about future you, this is a tool for delegation. Even if right now you're delegating to you, it'll train you to be a better delegator to others.
Yeah.
Is that true?
Agreed.
Yeah?
Yeah, indeed. And depending on how you do your work and who you're working with, you can delegate. And there's even within the framework of the methodology a way for you to track something as waiting for. So if I did delegate something to you, and when I'm reviewing my tasks later on, trying to remind myself of what's been done and what hasn't been done, I can look at that list and go, oh, look, this is all the stuff I'm waiting for. And that can be a trigger to help me move forward and collect those things that I need.
Yeah, that sounds like a really, really important aspect of the methodology and using it. So I think it's really clear that the benefits are huge and that the methodology is easy to get started with. Surely there's some challenges in putting this into place. What would you say some of the key obstacles or challenges people might face?
There's a learning curve. I mean, you got to figure out a system. I mean, the thing I didn't say this during the session, but whether or not you have a system, you've made a decision as to whether what your system is. And lawyers in particular are super stressed. They have a lot of things thrown at them. No matter what type of law you practice, you're going to have a lot of important things you need to keep track of. So any system is going to take a little bit of time to figure out, so you're going to have to spend some time on it. And then it takes maintenance. One of the steps of getting things done, they have a review step. So you have a system in place where you review your current projects. I find it very useful as a lawyer to be able to go back and find projects that have fallen off the wagon for one reason or another and get them back on track. So it makes me look very effective to opposing counsel and my clients, and that's the reason I do it.
You find your own drop balls before other people do.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Cool. What would you say are some of the challenges you've had either implementing it for yourself or seen others?
Well, I'd say that the critical piece in this methodology is the review piece. Like, it's easy to recognize that you have a need to implement something like a GTD, and you can argue that it's easy to collect all of those ideas and put them somewhere. The challenge is, long term, how do you keep all of those things going? And I said during our sessions that if you're riding a bike, the review is like the part where you push the pedal to keep the bike moving. So without the review, your system will eventually stall. But with the review piece, you'll keep pushing forward. And for some people, a weekly review is required for every project. For other people, they might be able to say, well, I don't need to review this thing every week, but as often as I need to make sure that I'm current with what's going on. If your weekly review is happening once a year, you might want to reconsider the frequency in your system.
Yeah, indeed. So if listeners were interested in getting started with it, you've given like the how to get started, like the first steps they need to take, but they wanted some help or some resources. Where should they turn to like get the resources they need to implement this methodology?
Yeah, it's real easy. Go to any bookstore and get the David Allen Getting Things Done book, and you're in great shape. They sell it in audiobook. He did a series on lynda.com. If you're a Lynda subscriber, you can buy the actual book and paper, or you can get it digitally. There's a million ways to get it.
You can also go to gettingthingsdone.com, which is run by David Allen Company, and they've got plenty of information both for getting started as well as keeping going. And I think they also have a podcast as well that you can subscribe to for free. And just get periodic injections of inspiration to keep your system moving.
Fantastic. So that's great for them for listeners to be able to follow up with the Getting Things Done methodology. Before we close out the show today, I have one last question. If our listeners want to follow up with you, would they be able to reach you? Ivan, you first.
Sure. Yeah, I'm on Twitter.
Okay.
I'm at iHemmans. That's IHEMMANS. And I'm also online at Hemmans.com.
Okay, great. And what about you, David?
You can find me at MacSparky.com. That's the nerd side of my life, where the listeners would probably be more interested in my law practice.
And you have a podcast as well.
Yeah,
right?
I do. It's called Mac Power Users. Actually, I have two. One called Mac Power Users, where we talk about how to get the most out of your Apple technology. And I do a show called The Free Agents, where we talk about being independent workers. And I talk about that from the legal context. But hey, if you go there, you'll find me.
So at MacSparky is a Twitter handle?
At MacSparky is the Twitter handle.
Excellent. Very good. Well, we have reached the end of the road for today's episode. I want to thank our guests for joining us today. Thank you, Ivan. Thank you, David. And I also want to thank our listeners for tuning in. If you like what you've heard today, please rate us on iTunes. We'll see you next time for another episode of On the Road with the Legal Talk Network.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
If you'd like more information about what you've heard today, please visit LegalTalkNetwork.com. Subscribe via iTunes and RSS. Find us on Twitter and Facebook, or download our free Legal Talk Network app in Google Play and iTunes. The views expressed by the participants of this program are their own and do not represent the views of, nor are they endorsed by, Legal Talk Network, its officers, directors, employees, agents, representatives, shareholders, and subsidiaries. None of the content should be considered legal advice. As always, consult a lawyer.